What is Batchim? Well, Batchim is a Korean alphabet that is at the bottom of a letter. So in this letter, pat, the alphabet that is at the bottom of this letter, pat, is 디귿. So in this letter, 받침 is 디귿. And in this letter, 침, the alphabet that is at the bottom of the letter 침 is 미음. So in this letter, the 받침 is 미음. So let's look through the kind of the 받침s we can use and how we pronounce them. So the first 받침 we're going to look at is 기역 받침, 키역 받침, and 쌍기역 받침. So these three, when they are at the bottom of a letter, has the same 받침 sound, which is K sound. So when there is a K at the end of a English letter, it has like a stopping sound and it has its ending sound. For example, in the letter attack, it has the ending sound and a little bit of a stopping sound of uk. So 기역, and 쌍기역 has the same stopping sound like K in the English letter. So let's look at the example. 이응 plus a. This letter sounds a. 이응 doesn't have any sound, so when there's a letter with 이응 in it, you can just pronounce the vowel. So in this case, this letter is pronounced a. And let's add 기역, and 쌍기역 at the bottom of this letter a. First, we're gonna add 기역, 악. So with a, you add K sound at the end. So it becomes ak. One thing to notice is that it doesn't have the ak, the k sound at the end. You only need to pronounce until the stopping sound of a K. So when you read this, it becomes ak. And the next one, 쌍기역 and 기역 is the same. With the letter A, let's add 기역 at the bottom. And it is the same in terms of pronouncing it. So it becomes ak. And notice that it doesn't have the ak, the last k sound at the end. You can just pronounce it until the stopping sound. So this letter, we can pronounce it ak. next one, 아 plus 쌍기역, and it has the same pronunciation. 아 plus K, stopping sound. It becomes 악, 악. So this letter, 악, this letter, 악, this letter, 악. The second 받침 sound we're gonna look at is 니은. 니은. Niun has the sound of an N in English, N, N. And when Niun comes at the bottom of a letter, it has the same ending sound, just like an N at the end of the English letter. For example, when you pronounce 10, the N sounds at the end has the pronunciation of N, N. And niun at the bottom of a letter has the same effect. So let's continue with the ah, ah. And when you add niun at the bottom of a letter ah, it becomes an, an. So ah has the sound like this, plus niun at the bottom. So you just add n, and it becomes an, an. The next 받침 sound we're gonna look at is the T sound, like in the English letter hat. So in this English letter hat, the T, when it's at the end of a letter, it has the sound, the stopping sound of hat. So let's see the Korean alphabets that has the same ending sound like a T when it's at the end of an English letter. So they are 디귿, 티귿, 시옷, 지읒, 치읒, 히읗, and 쌍시옷. So these letters, when they are 받침, or when they are at the bottom of a Korean letter, they have the same ending sound like a T in English letter. So let's start with A and 디귿. So this is a Korean letter, A. And when you add 디귿 at the bottom of this letter, A, it becomes at, at. And again, you don't really pronounce the last t sound. So in here, you can pronounce this letter hat, hat. 디귿 and all these other Korean alphabets has the same ending sound like T, but they don't have the lasting sound when they are at the 받침. So you don't pronounce this one as at or at. You just pronounce it at, at. A plus T. So it becomes at, at. let's go through the next ones. A plus tigut. It has the same sound like this one. At. At. Next one. At. 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 And the next Batchim sound we're gonna go through is Leer. Leer. So Leer, it has the sound somewhat in between R and L. 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 And when it goes to the bottom of a Korean letter, it has the sound, the ending sound of an L. O. O. So with A, when Leer goes to the bottom of a Korean letter, A, it becomes Al. Al. So A plus L sound. It becomes Al. Al. The next Batchim sound we're going to go through is mium. Mium. Mium has the sound of an M in English. M. M. And when it goes to the bottom of a Korean letter, it has the same ending sound when an M goes at the end of an English letter. So with A, when the mium goes to the bottom of a Korean letter A, it becomes am. So with A plus M sound at the end, it becomes am. So the next Batchim pronunciation we're going to go through is pu and pu. Pu has the sound of B in English, B. B. And pu has the sound of P in English, P. P. And when they go to the bottom of a Korean letter, they have the ending sound of P or B at the end of an English letter, and also without the lasting sound like Bob or Bop. It doesn't have the B sound at the end or P sound at the end. So you can just pronounce it when you're speaking Korean. It'll become pop or pop. So let's continue with A. When you add pu at the bottom of A, it becomes up. Up. Likewise, when you add A plus pu at the bottom of A, it has the same pronunciation like up. So it is also up, 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 up. Plus P, up, plus P, up. And the next Batchim pronunciation, and today's last one, is 이응, 이응. 이응 doesn't actually have a sound when it comes at the front or when it comes first at the letter. But when it goes to the bottom of a letter, it has the sound of sound, like ng in English. So when the iung goes to the bottom of a Korean letter, it has the sound. And with and iung at the bottom of a letter it becomes ang. So plus ng, it becomes ang. So let's go through what we learned today about Batchim. Batchim is a Korean letter that goes at the bottom of a letter to make an ending sound of a letter. So the kinds of ending sound that we have in Korean is ending K sound, ending N sound, ending T sound, ending L sound, ending M sound, ending P sound, and ending NG sound. So the things that has the ending K sounds are 기억, 기억, and 쌍기억. Combined with it becomes 악. 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 The next ending sound that has the ending sound of an N are 니은, 니은. When combined with it becomes 안, 안. The next letters, or the Korean alphabets that has the ending sound of T in English are 디귿, 티귿, 시옷, 지읒, 치읓, 히읗, and 쌍시옷. Combined with it becomes 앗, 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 앗. The next letter that has the ending sound of an L is 리을. 리을. It has the ending sound of an L, ul, ul. So combined with a, it becomes 알, 알. The next Korean alphabet that has the ending sound of an M in English, is 미음. 미음. So combined with a, it becomes am. The next Korean alphabet that has the ending sound of P or B in English are 피읍 and 피읍. When they become a Batchim, or when they go to the bottom of a Korean letter to make an ending sound, they have the sound of up. Up. So combined with a, it becomes up. 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 The final Batchim sound in Korean that has the NG sound in English is 이응. 이응. And when 이응 goes to the bottom of a Korean letter to make an ending sound, it has the pronunciation of 응. 응. So combined with a, it becomes 앙. 앙. Let's go through the pronunciations by reading these letters. 악, 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 안, 앗, 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 알, 알, 암, 암, 앞, 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 앙, 앙, 악, 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 안, 앗, 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 알, 암, 앞, 앞, 앙, 앙. So let's do a little practice of what we just learned. First, let's combine the letter with the ending sound with K. So 피읍 plus a. This letter has the sound of b plus a, so ba. Ba. But when you add 쌍기역, 쌍기역 at the bottom of this letter, because it has the ending sound of a K, you can just add K to it, and it has the sound of 박. 박. Next one is 오. 오. When you add 시옷, 시옷 at the bottom of O because 시옷 has the ending sound of T in English. We can read this letter 옷, 옷. And with the letter A, you can add 니은, 니은 at the bottom of A. So 니은, when it is at the bottom of a Korean letter, it has the ending sound of N in English. So we can read this letter 안, 안. And the next one, we can add to A, 리을 at the bottom of A. So 리을 has the ending sound of L when it is at the bottom of a Korean letter. You can read this letter 알, 알. Next, let's add 피읍 at the bottom of a Korean letter A. So 피읍, when it is at the bottom of a Korean letter, you can pronounce it like P at the end of an English letter. So you can pronounce this Korean letter up, up. And let's add NG sound or sound to a letter 사, 사. So when you add 이응 at the bottom of a Korean letter, it makes the sound, ending sound of 응. So 사, 시옷 has the sound of S, A, plus 이응 at the bottom of a Korean letter has the ending sound of 응. We can pronounce this letter 상, 상. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and let's finish today's lesson with reading the Korean letters that are right. So first with 기억, A, 미음 at the bottom, 감, 감. Next is 시옷 plus A, 사, 히읗, which has the sound of H, 흐, A, plus 비읍 at the bottom, which has the ending sound of 읍, 읍. So 합, 니은 plus 이, 니, 니, 디귿 plus 아, 다, 다, and an exclamation mark. So 감, 감, 사, 사, 합, 합, 니, 니, 다, 다, 감, 사, 합, 니, 다, 감사합니다. 감사합니다. This means thank you in Korean. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye bye.